the truth to power. Life's not that long, just a few short hours. So make each minute count, make every second matter. Just give me one more day to get it right. I need just one more day.
Transplant Talk with Nyshonda, Thursday, 7 p.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube.
Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Transplant Talk with Nyshonda. I am your hostess with the mostest, and as always, we welcome you to our channel. What's up, everyone in TTW land? I am grateful today to be here, and even more grateful that we are in the month of November. And in November, we have what is called National Donor Sabbath. Okay. And today I have a very, very special guest who is right up the street in Gainesville, Florida. Just recently, my guests were from California and Oklahoma, and I'm grateful to them. But today we are in Florida, and we are right there in Gainesville, Florida. And my beautiful guest today is Miss Brenda Darling, and she is also a kidney recipient. So she's a warrior and she's a survivor. But today she is in need of another kidney. And so she will come before you today to tell you her kidney journey and how you can also help with perhaps being a match or perhaps telling her someone who may be able to help her. I just want to remind you that Say 1,000 Lives and Transplant Talk has been around for almost 100 shows, so I'm super excited. And this show was created in honor of my late husband, Leonard Wayne Larimore, who passed away, guys, almost 5 years ago. So we are still here honoring him, continuing his legacy, and we still want to be able to get 1,000 people registered in his name. Okay, so without any further ado, I would like to bring on my guest, but of course, I have to give her a red carpet, but now we have a green carpet introduction. So stay right there, and the next person you will see alongside me will be Miss Brenda Darling. Hello, Miss Brenda. How are you?
Hello, Nyshonda. I'm great. How are you? Happy to be
I,
here.
I'm so glad you are here. It took a little while for us to get here, and we
Yes,
had a few setbacks, but the devil's a liar because we're here. You
we are
know,
here. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
yes, we're not gonna give that devil any kind of credit
You're right.
to what's going on because what will happen, what will be, and
Absolutely. It's our
we're
time.
yes, ma'am. We are just honored that you are here. So, Miss Brenda, why don't you tell the Transplant Talk Nation a little bit about yourself before you took this kidney journey?
Hello, everyone out there in transplant land. I'm so honored and happy to be here with Nyshonda today to share with you my transplant and kidney journey. It started many years ago, 1989, and a few years earlier. I was diagnosed with renal insufficiency. My kidneys had several insults that led me into that. When I was a young woman, I had kidney infections that required diagnostics called an intravenous pyelogram, and they would inject dye into the kidney. Unfortunately, the diagnostic was worse than the treatment, and it caused my kidneys to have their first insult to them. Shortly after that, when my youngest son Brandon was born, well, prior to that, I was pre-clamped with him. and I would develop a hypertensive crisis that scarred the nephrons of my kidneys. The nephrons are the tiny filtering units of the kidney that filter the waste products before the urine is sent into the bladder. Well, those nephrons were scarred quite a bit. And shortly after his birth was the first time I realized that I was in an early stage of kidney failure. My creatinine had started to rise on a basic metabolic panel that I had done at my primary care provider's office. Had I had not had that test done, I never would have known. So it's very important that we do early detection testing to figure out and find out, when we are in kidney disease or a stage of kidney failure. I think the statistics is about 30 million people in the United States have some level of undiagnosed chronic kidney disease. So
Wow.
it's very important. It's very important that this is caught early so that people don't progress to kidney failure and dialysis or the need for a transplant. So I was very fortunate that I stayed at this level for about 24 years and did not require any type of intervention until 2010. At that time, I was approaching end stage renal disease and needed to have go on dialysis or have a transplant. I knew from my career as being a nurse and a dialysis nurse at one point that if I ever needed to go this route, what my desired option for therapy would be. Number one would be transplant. And so when my physician told me that within a year, in 1994, within a year, I would need dialysis, I asked to be put on the transplant list to be worked up for that. Well, no one in my family was a match. And that was very disheartening. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. And I can remember the exact place of where I was having a conversation with God about what
Mhm.
am I going to do? What am I going to do? And
Mhm.
these words he spoke to me just as clearly as I am talking to you,
Mhm.
saying to me, you hear my granddaughter in the background.
I
If,
do. Life is happening.
if transplant is not an option, what would you do?
Mhm.
Trust me.
Mhm.
And that's what I did.
Okay.
I don't know if we need to pause this for a minute or not, but my
Okay.
granddaughter is here.
Okay. I could pause. Actually, I can.
Yeah, pause because she just came in.
Oh, and I think we can begin now. Okay. Go ahead,
Okay.
Miss Brenda.
Okay. Well, I was sharing with you all about my journey, my with kidney disease, and seeing that no one in my family was a match for me for a transplant. And fortunately, I had a very good friend who found out what I was going through. She called and offered me a kidney if she was a match, and miraculously she was. And
Mhm.
so my best friend, Daryl Malee, offered me the gift of life. And we had our transplant surgery in June of 2012. Uh,
Mhm.
Once I received that kidney, it really, gave me life again. And
Mhm.
in the process of that, I was able to, resume a lot of things that I hadn't been able to do just because kidney disease um, is extremely strenuous on the body. It causes a lot of
Mhm.
fatigue and nausea. You just don't feel well.
Mhm.
Fortunately, I didn't have to do dialysis before. I had what was called a preemptive transplant that I had it before I went into full-fledged end-stage renal disease. Yes.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I had several comorbidities and unrelated to the transplant itself that over the course of the next 7 years caused my kidney to fail sooner than it should have. Normally, a living donor kidney should last about 15 years. Mine only lasted 7. And in
May
2018,
I may I show Miss Darrell to everyone?
sure.
Your living donor. So
Yes. That's my friend Daryl.
Mhm.
Daryl, as it says, we actually were co-workers. We were nurses. We worked together in the operating room and the recovery room for many years. And our both of our youngest sons, my youngest son Brandon, her youngest son Charles, started kindergarten together, and they became best friends. So before this, we were kind of like a family, more so than friends. We traveled together, vacationed together, because both of their mothers were nurses and they both drove Volvos. They were convinced that they were twins.
Oh,
And in fact,
oh,
one year their costumes were men in black. Okay, so they were dressed in their black
the
suits,
two.
and they had their little toy guns, and they were back to back. This little black kid and this little white kid, and it was just the most adorable picture that we have of the two of them. But
Oh,
yes, so Daryl offered me a kidney, and like I said, miraculously, she was a match, and she really gave me the gift of life, and that's why it's so important for people to register and become organ donors, because you just never know. You never know where that one yes is, and all it takes is one yes. One yes makes a
absolutely.
difference. One yes
And
makes a difference.
I also want to show that you both are in the other picture here. You actually had a billboard, um, to be able to get your message out for the need of a life saving transplant as well. And you said your son gave you the
Yes, my son. That was my birthday present one year. My
Mhm.
son gave me a billboard to get the word out that I have a need for a kidney. And we have this grassroots campaign that's called Share Your Spare. Of course, you know that you have two kidneys and you can give one up and still live a normal, healthy life with just one kidney. So you can share that spare that you have. And that's our campaign. And my billboard was Share Your Spare, and
Yes,
my son
ma'am.
gave me that. Yes,
Right.
that's my. I have a page, Share Your Spare page on Facebook, and
Mhm.
that's how we're getting the word out, the need out. We have to share this. I share it wherever I can, so everyone will know what the need is, and give you the information. I'm listed at the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, and
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
also right now in the process of trying to be listed at the Advent Health Orlando transplant program.
Right. So the
Yes,
more listings, the better the chances of you
yes,
being able to
yes,
receive a
yes,
life saving
absolutely,
transplant. So let me
absolutely.
ask you this, Miss Brenda. Once you found out that your kidney was it wasn't operating or functioning as it should, how did you tell Daryl?
How did I tell her?
Or how
My
did she take
son,
the
my
news?
son told her actually. My oldest son, who has been my caregiver since we found out that I was approaching renal insufficiency. He was 18, I think, at the time. I took both of them on a beach trip, and I sat them down. I told them, this is my prognosis, and I shared with them what my doctor told me, that within a year I would be on dialysis. Fortunately, we didn't have to go that route that early. But, when my son loves academia, and he was teaching as a substitute teacher at one of our local high schools here. At the same
Okay.
time, Daryl was a school nurse there. And because Brandon and Charles had graduated high school, they'd sort of kind of gone their separate ways, but so we weren't as close as we had been in the past. He
Mhm.
shared with her, what I was going through, that I was been dealing with this kidney issue. I was now possibly approaching end stage. And she just called me up one day. She called me up and she's like, "Hey girl, listen, I love you. I've got two kidneys. If I'm a match, one is yours." And I
Mhm.
gave her the information to reach out to the Shan Shuef transplant program about being a living donor. She went through the
Mhm.
program, the workup, and miraculously she was a match. And that
Wow.
was that was a when I say miracle, it was a miracle because I had a lot of antibodies, not really sure why, but
Right.
the odds were out of 100 people, I would only match with 22 in the general population. So yes, it was a miracle, and we
Right.
had our transplant surgery June 2012. June
Mm,
2012. Yes.
wow. Amazing. And as I said on the other show, so often the multicultural community feels as if, no one would become their donor, or everyone, the myths of they only want black people's organs, and if you get into a car accident, don't go to the hospital, they're not going to try to
Oh,
save you,
oh,
and
wow.
that color or your ethnicity matters. And just like on my last show, the living donor was Caucasian.
Mm.
Your donor is Caucasian. So I need everyone to just reset your mind. Just change your way of thinking about um, that someone needs to be black in order to, become a living donor for you. It does not matter. Your blood type, your height, all of those things contribute. The blood type
With the
especially is very
blood.
important.
Yes.
So yes, it doesn't matter your ethnicity, because you cut everybody and the blood is still the same color. So
Right.
just I need for people to get that out of their mindset. I need grandparents to stop telling their grandchildren to no, don't you dare become an organ donor when they're going to the drivers to the DMV to become organ donors. You know, you have to. Yeah, so you have to. You're able to share your kidneys, and you're also able to share part of your liver if you are a match. So you have two lungs. So just imagine what can happen in our world. Still over 100,000 people in this country. We're not even talking about worldwide. Just in the United States, over 100,000 people are still waiting for the gift of life. You can fill up a stadium with people,
Hmm.
and that will give you part of the numbers. If there's 100,000 seats or 80,000 seats in that stadium, you can contribute that to how many people are in need of a life-saving transplant. And as you can see, Miss Brenda was blessed with one before, and I have seen it done again. Someone else, or they got another living donor or the dapper to help save their lives. So it is very possible for Miss Brenda to get another transplant. We are going to pray, that her living donor comes soon, or the dapper comes soon for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
she's an author. She's very well educated and well versed. So with her being an author and a speaker, she's actually the champion for the cause, right? Because we have a mutual we have EMAT, that we have in common. I was a part of EMAT as well with Miss Shirley Brill. And this organization is educating minorities about transplant, and Miss Brenda just so happens to be part of that organization as well. So I find it amazing that you were doing this line of work, and then you learned all about it. How did that help you when you were given your diagnosis? That
It helped me. It helped me, believe it or not, more after my kidney transplant than it did before, because
Mhm.
of the 3 months after my kidney transplant, I was diagnosed with the first urinary tract infection. I was hospitalized perhaps every 4 to 6 weeks after that with them. It
Mhm.
required me to have intravenous IV antibiotics, uh, central lines, PIC lines, all of those things. And there were many times that I was very sick, and many times that my transplant team would approach me with some type of a therapy or intervention that, being a nurse, I knew was not best for me. Not only being a nurse, I knew my body. It's important that we listen to our bodies and, don't just discount, signs and symptoms when we can use these to help our healthcare providers interpret what's going on with us. I did that. I advocated for myself. And had I not been that advocate for myself, I wouldn't be here today. But because of my knowledge from being a nurse, I've been a nurse. I've had my license 42 years. I practiced 30 of those years before I went into renal failure. My knowledge of being a nurse and understanding of the kidney and the function of the kidney, knowing my body, my medications, my lab values, all of those things played a factor in helping me to work jointly with my healthcare team, my transplant team. Unfortunately, a lot of doctors only want you to come in as a patient, sit, listen to what they have to say, accept that, and leave. That wasn't me. Like I said, I advocated for myself very well. That I often say I think they open my chart, see intelligent, and get intimidated, but I didn't let that stop me. And my son would often ask me, when I'm in the hospital, fever 103, dehydrated, why are you fighting with them? And I'm like, I'm fighting because I want to live. If I don't, who's going to fight for me? Think of the person, 2 or 3 doors down who doesn't have my knowledge and don't know the question to ask. They don't know what they don't know, and so that's what I've kind of made my mission, to be a champion for the cause now while I'm waiting, to be a voice for people in the kidney community who don't have the platform such as this that I do, to get the word out, about the need for organ donation, awareness, education about kidney disease, and to advocate for things that are in legislation, to reach out to our elected officials about the bills that are on the board, the Living Donor Protection Act, the Kidney Disease Treatment and Research Act. That's the only thing that's going to help the future in the face of kidney disease to change, to benefit those that are now living with kidney disease. These are things that we can do, to help to guide the face of where this disease is going, and hopefully we can eradicate or at least slow the progression down. Right now, I think, like I said earlier, I think there's over 600,000 people in this country that are dealing with this disease, and over 400,000 right now that are on dialysis, and little over close to 200,000 that are living with a functioning transplant. Those are huge numbers. I mean, and it's staggering to think that over 30 million are undiagnosed, and they have some form of chronic kidney disease. Only education and awareness is going to bring this to the forefront. And when you think about, all the diseases in this country that are now being researched, it's only pushing this bill through for the research and treatment for kidney disease is going to help the future of kidney disease. We see, there is a heart disease month. There's a breast cancer month, but where is it for kidney disease? And when you think that this disease primarily affects the African American community, I think that I'll let you think about where that goes. It's primarily, this disease primarily affects African Americans, and the disease itself is primarily comes from those with high blood pressure, those with diabetes. Those are the two main diseases that affect persons of color. And so, this disease is ravaging the population of people of color, Black and brown people. And we have to be, champions, for the cause to try to slow the progression of this down before it gets to dialysis, before it gets to a need for transplant.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I know I asked you earlier if this was hereditary. Did it come from anyone in your family. Has anyone else in your family experienced what you did in needing and needed to take this journey for a transplant?
Well, kidney failure and kidney disease can be genetic. It wasn't in my case because mine, like I mentioned earlier, came from several insults to my kidney, and then when I had the hypertensive crisis, my maternal uncle, my mother's brother, was on dialysis.
Okay.
He passed away on dialysis, but
Mhm.
he never was went as far as wanting to have a transplant. He did peritoneal dialysis. That's doing it at home, and when you're connected to a machine that does it automatically for you, one way or
Yeah.
the other. Either you do it yourself, making exchanges several times a day, or the machine does it automatically during the night. So he did that, but there was no one else in my family that had kidney failure or any form of kidney disease.
Wow. Well, again, I always stress to the audience that knowing your history, knowing family history is vital so that, it could skip you, but, later hit one of your children or
Mhm.
one of your grandchildren. So knowing family history is super important. It's essential to the family and the longevity of the family.
Right.
So I find that to be very important. We're checking and we're having conversations in our family, as well about whatever the family history, medical history is. We want to know, more about it. Now, I told you I would not hold you long, and ladies and gentlemen, please, if you know of anyone that would like to help Miss Brenda and share your spare or share their spare, please, please, please. The information is on the screen, and you see that her blood type is O, as O positive. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
positive.
O
Yes.
positive. Yeah. So you those things are also very important when committing to help someone in need of a life saving transplant. So, Miss Brenda, again, promise I would not hold you long. We wanted to get your information out there, but I would like for you to tell the audience why they need to consider to become an organ donor. Why is organ donation so important? Please share.
Oh, sorry about that. For those of you that are on the fence when deciding whether or not you should become an organ donor, I must share with you there are alternative treatments for kidney failure, such as dialysis or conservative treatments, but those things only keep you alive. A transplant will give you life. And that's what I'm looking for, the gift of life. So I encourage you to go donate, www.donatelifeflorida.org, and register to be an organ donor, or you could do it at your local DMV office. For the many of us who are waiting right now in Florida, there are over 5,000 that are on the list and 2,500 that are active. I'm one of those 2,500. Help us. Perhaps you can be the yes. One yes is all it takes to make the difference. Thank you.
Miss Brenda, thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing your story. And because of Daryl, I want everyone to understand she is a mother, she has grandchildren. And so we definitely want you to consider becoming an organ donor. She has those little babies that need their nana.
Yes,
So,
I do. I do. Thank
yes,
you so much. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and I'm just so honored to be here with you. Continue to share your husband's legacy. It's amazing, and I thank you. I thank you for helping us
thank
become a
you.
voice to the transplant community.
Listen, it is my pleasure, but this is the least I can do to be
Yes.
able to help anyone that is in need. Because it's not an easy journey, and it's a long journey. So if anyone that we can help, um, to receive a life saving transplant, we will. So I want to show you information just one more time.
Thank
For
you.
people, please share your spare. And if you are here in Florida and you would consider becoming a match for Miss Brenda, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt she would greatly appreciate it. So, and all you do, get understanding, and again, in honor of um, let me make sure I put it up here. And in honor of the National Donor Sabbath weekend, this is why I have my guest on this weekend, because it is very important for us to continue this fight to bring awareness to everyone, especially in the multicultural community. So until next time, guys, well, I will have my next guest, and he's returning to share his story about organ donation and his living donor, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. So until next time, guys, God bless you all and have a good night. Stay right there, Miss Brenda.
I need just one more day, just one more hour to speak the truth to power. Life's not that long, just a few short hours. So make each minute count, make every second matter. Just give me one more day to get it right. I need just one more day.
Transplant Talk with Nyshonda, Thursday, 7 p.m. on